Hello, everybody. We are back with Bad Things English People Did in Other Countries with your host, Emma the English Lady, formerly Emma Barker. Barker means she or he who shouts in the marketplace, and you know that I am good at shouting. I'm Kalinowski. Well, let us move on to European colonialism in South Asia. If you guessed that the Europeans were not very nice to the Indians when they got there, you were right. Congratulations. Very good. The first European to come to India was Vasco da Gama from Portugal. He stopped at South Africa on the way and set up a trading post. He got to India after hanging out in South Africa for a while in 1498 and set a trading city on the west coast, Goa. Goa is a very popular vacation place. You should go there sometime. This was the beginning of European interest in the East and as a result, of the Age of Discovery. We found that. No, you didn't. Other people were living there already. You didn't find it. Anyway, European colonialism, the Dutch, the French, and the British followed the Portuguese into seeking wealth in India. The British set up the East India Company in 1600 and established a relationship with the Mughal rulers. Hello there, nice to meet you. If you help us out, we'll help you out, to build trading posts and forts at Madras, now Chennai, Bombay, now Mumbai, and Calcutta, now Kolkata. The East India Company was very successful under Robert Clive. Now, I always think of the East India Company as being like Walmart because it was huge. It was not owned by England, but it was the biggest company in England, and it got all these goods from other countries and sold it to people in England. It had a monopoly. Everybody wanted to buy their stuff from the East India Company. They were huge. They had more money than the whole country of England. So here we have Robert Clive, who was in charge of the East India Company. I don't know what happened. My sharing disappeared. My window disappeared. I'm going to have to figure it out. Okay, what happened to our friend? There he is. There he is. There is Robert Clive. Very handsome man. The French said, hey, we want to do some of this trading stuff with India. And Robert Clive said, I don't think so. I don't think so, French. Get out of here. We're going to kill you. So the French left. He used the Indians against each other and created unrest to create control. He's like, hey, you know what he said about you? I think you should go beat him up. And they're like, really? Yes. And they're all fighting. He's like, yes, I'm in control. What a splendid day. These Indians are killing each other. So then the British government said, wait a minute. The East India Company has more money than we do. We need to do something to cut this guy down to size. So they decided to limit the power of the company and take it over. Like, we're in charge now. Kind of like the United States said, Walmart has too much power. Mr. Walmart, what's his name? Walton, Sam Walton, you can step down. President Trump is now in charge, and the United States government is now in charge of Walmart. I wonder if that would ever happen. Maybe not during Trump's rule, but it could happen someday. That would be interesting. Anyway, then Britain said, we're in charge of the East India Company. All you people here, you need to convert to Christianity, okay? You Hindus and Muslims, Christianity is a new religion. Get with it. And the Hindus and the Muslims said, sorry, you can't just change our religion like that. So they had a rebellion, the Sepoy Rebellion. Now, during the rebellion, there were rumors that the rifles were greased with pork and beef. Why would that make the Indian people angry? Well, for example, the Hindus do not believe in eating pork or beef and revere cows. So that is just really mean. And the Muslims and Hindus both thought that pork was absolutely disgusting and Muslims were not allowed to eat pork. So it is really just a distasteful thing. It's kind of like wiping the guns with your own poop and giving it It's just really offensive. Okay, British rule. There are a bunch of political changes after the Sepoy Rebellion. For example, the Mughal emperor, who lived inside the pocket of the British, was sent into exile. Queen Victoria became the Empress of India. I am the Empress of India now, as well as the Queen of England. That's what she said. The British government ruled all of India directly. All decisions about India were made in Britain. And there were new laws that were made on the example of how things were done in Britain. Okay, let us move along. The British system brought an educated group of Indians that began to argue for independence. So one good thing that Britain did was they set up schools in India. And as you know, the teachers in the schools were pretty racist from that story we read, but they set up schools and brought education to people. And Indians who went to these British schools in India were then able to go to universities in the United States or Britain. I think the lady who we read about in the story, who Santha, she went to university in the United States. Anyway, so people became educated, and when people become educated, they have ideas in their heads like, we don't want to be ruled by the British. We want to be our own people. The Indians could not all agree on this. Some people wanted a Hindu government, others wanted a Western-style government. And then the Indian National Congress was established in 1885 to create a gradual change to Indian rule. After World War I, the Indian National Congress began to be more forceful. Europe was weakened by World War I. They were able to have, the Indian government was able to have more strength. Who is this man? He is called Mahatma Gandhi, but his real name is Mohandas Gandhi. And he took over as leader of the Indian National Congress. Is it Congress? Yes. He was a British educated lawyer who wanted to use passive resistance, peaceful, to gain Indian independence. Britain decided to turn over power to the Indians slowly and gradually. Here's a joke. Did you know that Mohandas Gandhi refused to wear shoes and his feet became hard and tough? Did you know he went for long periods of fasting and refused to eat meat? Did you know that when someone fasts, they get really bad breath? Did you know that he was lean, of slight build, especially in his later years? So he was supercalifragilistic, plagued with halitosis. That's a very bad joke. The Muslim League. So we have the Hindus and then we have the Muslims in the north of India. They formed the Muslim League in 1906 to fight for things that Muslims cared about. There were too many differences between the Hindus and Muslims, and by the 1930s, Ali Jinnah, who was their leader, decided that he wanted the subcontinent of South Asia to be divided between the Hindus and the Muslims. So what happened was, it was divided. And here we have, there's India, there is Pakistan, and there's East Pakistan. India is right in between the two Pakistans. This area here is still being fighted over. Pakistan and India are still fighting over this area. And then we have Burma and Bangladesh is over here now, and that is Ceylon or Sri Lanka, which is now Sri Lanka, the tear-shaped island. Okay, 1946, violence hit a tipping point, and in 1947, the Indian Independence Act ended British rule in India, and the subcontinent, undercontinent, was partitioned into two countries where there had been a Muslim majority that became Pakistan. There's the two Pakistans. The rest would become India. Jawaharlal Nehru became the Prime Minister of India. There he is talking to Gandhi. Muhammad Ali Jinnah became the Governor General of Pakistan, and there is Gandhi talking to him as well. And that is the end of the video. You can look back at the video when you answer all of the questions.